What's up, guys? I just wanted to do a little update today, and today is a pretty special day because it has been officially 1 month since I have been clean, and I wanted to do today's update actually in a bit of a more naturey spot. There is a house nearby that's getting some work done, so it's a little bit loud, but you guys can kind of see here it's a very peaceful, kind of beautiful view that I've got in front of me right now. And I wanted to kind of just share the ups and downs with the NoFap thing since I've been clean for about a month. And this experience has been a little bit different than past experiences because, you know, a lot of the videos that I've made in like the last 8 years have been when I was in a relationship. So, you know, even though I was clean, it was kind of a different type of thing because I was still, you know, experiencing things with my partner. So I wasn't like necessarily in hard mode, I guess you could call it. That's what people refer to it as. So this time has been a little bit different in that respect. But yeah, I'll just jump into it. So first of all, I'm going to start with just what has changed from the beginning. So when I first started, you know, obviously on top of everything else, I was going through some pretty difficult life changes about a month ago when I started this, and it all kind of happened at once. So, you know, it was difficult for more reasons than one. But what I noticed is that when I would get, you know, really stressed out, I would kind of let it get to me a lot more towards the beginning of this, where it would almost feel like, you know, I didn't have as much control over how I was reacting to the situation. And, you know, I think after even like a week or so, I started to feel a little bit more in control of the way that my emotions were affecting me. But I will say, as it's gotten closer to a month, like especially that third week to a month, I started to really notice a lot more emotional stabilization. And I just feel like even when things are kind of difficult, I'm just handling them much better. I feel like I have the tools to handle these situations that I'm in a lot better now. And I've also kind of come to a place of realizing that I don't have control over everything. You know, I can control my actions and what I do on a daily basis. I can basically control anything to do with myself, but I don't have control over what other people do. And this kind of goes outside of the recovery thing, but I think one thing I've really realized is that, you know, when you feel like you need something from someone else or you really want something, people can pick up on that at a subconscious level, even if you're not saying it out loud. And there's a section in the book that I'm reading, The Art of Happiness, that talks about, you know, the more that you want things from other people, basically the more that they are going to feel pressured by you and feel like they don't want to spend as much time with you, basically. So it's just something I've been thinking about a lot, you know, the idea that you need to be healthy within yourself before you can really be the person that you want to be for someone else. And that goes for friendships too, you know, like it's just hard to be a good friend or partner if you're in this constantly altered state where your emotions are not stable and you don't have your own life figured out as much, or your own sense of self. So another benefit that I wanted to talk about is confidence. And this part is very interesting. So this has been a little different this time around than it has been in a while, like I said, because I've kind of been not, with a partner or anything. So, um, sorry if it's a little loud here, but basically, I noticed that when I talk to people, there's almost a kind of magnetic energy that happens. I know a lot of people have talked about this, like the whole law of attraction thing, and sometimes I've thought, I've always known that I believed in it, at least to a certain extent, but last night was a really good example of just like how far this can go. This was actually pretty bizarre, but I was literally just like at this event that I was doing a performance at, and I kid you not, I was just standing there and kind of minding my own business, and I looked up and this girl was staring at me, and she kind of smiled, and I smiled back. Didn't really think too much of it at first, but then it happened like another couple times where I locked eyes with her, and so I was like, oh, like she's definitely checking me out or looking at me. I don't know if it was in what way that was, or I kind of do now, but basically then it got even crazier. She actually approached me and said, hey, I noticed that we keep locking eyes, and I just wanted to introduce myself. And so I talked to her, and she was really nice, and it was one of those things though where like I didn't feel completely open to exploring something new, just because I'm still so freshly out of the long relationship that I was just in. But I did kind of just try to keep an open mind, and I did like ask her a lot about herself, and it was a good conversation. And before the end I almost left without saying anything, but I ended up walking up to her again, and I told her I wanted to keep in touch. And at the very least, it's like maybe I made a friend or something like that, or somebody that supports what I'm doing. And that's another thing I've realized, guys. It's like I think there was some level of attraction there, like with her to me, and I'm okay with that. But I also, going back to the thing I said before, it's like I'm not really like attached to this idea that it has to be that. Like it could just be I just had a nice conversation, or maybe maybe we just reconnect at some point and talk more, and it doesn't always have to be this thing where like you're expecting a certain outcome from something. And that has been a really powerful kind of paradigm shift recently. But as far as like with 1 month specifically, like I'm interested to see just like how much this changes even more after another month or two. I've also noticed the fact that I just have a lot more time on my hands, which obviously that's kind of the most logical aspect of this. But I've definitely been spending a lot more time just doing things that I enjoy, working on my career stuff, and that has been really nice, to be able to not have that distraction. And I think I may have mentioned this in my last video, but I've noticed like when I read books and things like that, like my attention is a lot stronger. I don't feel like I'm like having to force myself to pay attention so much. My mind is like sharper, and that's really cool. But it does feel like a big confidence booster, just the fact that it's been a month, and after going through one of the hardest times in my life, like I'm still doing well, all things considered. I'm actually looking at getting a new place soon. I've been kind of staying with my family during this time, but I am getting I have a bunch of jobs kind of around the corner that I may or may not get, but working on locking in a job situation, and then next step is going to be getting a place. And it is really nice just to be back in a really beautiful place. There were some cool things about where I was before, but it was a little bit like, it was in the Midwest, so it was a little bit more like gray and just not as pleasant, I would say, on a daily basis. And you know, it's something I've realized is that I do kind of value that in a place. I like to feel like calm when I'm walking around. Not to say that I couldn't do well in a city environment too. I do like the city. Like, you know, I enjoy cities like New York and whatnot, but I think for me to feel comfortable in a place like that, I'd really like want to have a career that makes sense, and it isn't like I'm struggling to get by every day and just living kind of an unpleasant existence, you know. So I don't know, that's me personally. Everyone's a little different, I guess, but that's just how I feel about it. So as far as like negatives, haven't really noticed too many negatives, honestly. In terms of effects of this, like, I'd say if anything, like, sometimes I've noticed small waves of like minor depression a few times, but I think that's also kind of situational, and it's not as bad as it was before all this. So I think, you know, it's probably my emotions trying to still stabilize a little bit more. But yeah, it's really crazy though. I mean, just when you talk to people, it's like you feel like a different person. You feel like you can be the person that you want to be, and you're not hiding behind anything, and that is really powerful. So anyways, that's going to be it for today, but I am definitely planning to keep updating, like, at least probably every few days to maybe a week, depending on how busy the weeks are. But I'm not going away, guys. This is like the real deal this time. I'm in this for the long haul, and this time feels different for some reason. I just feel a lot more determined, and I feel like I have more tools. So stick with this. Well, you don't have to, but stick with these videos if you really want to see the true effects of this, because this is going to be a different kind of situation this time. All right, anyways, hope you guys are doing well wherever you're at your journey, and just remember that when things feel difficult, just remember that it always passes. And it may feel like the end of the world or something in some moments, or you're like, you know, your emotions are super heightened, especially in the beginning stages, but it does pass. Things always get better, so keep that in mind. All right, peace.